Channel 2S is brought to you by Newtype HQ. Get your kits and supplies at the link in the description below. Hello and welcome to Channel 2S, everybody. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and a really cool new premium Bandai model was announced a few days ago. However, as much as I wanted to talk about that kit, I did want to get a few more kits kind of bundled together to do a little bit of a longer episode of Gunpla News, because I don't really like doing the super short ones. Now that it's been a few days, though, we do have quite a lot to talk about, starting off small with the box art for the Gundam Aescalepius. Now, as I've mentioned a couple times before, I have pre-ordered this kit. It was very expensive, probably more expensive than it should have been, but I have one. This is a kit that I have wanted for a very long time. I discovered this mobile suit randomly one time while browsing Gundam Wiki long before I knew about what it was in the lore, and just thought it looked really cool. After playing Crossrays, I kind of loved it even more. Like, it's a really freaking awesome Gundam design, and by the way, would love to see a Hydra Gundam as well. Hopefully that's the next one of these G-Unit kits we get later on down the line. But yeah, it looks really cool. The box art is much in line with the other G-Unit kits, where they give it that gorgeous full HGCE box art and none of that P Bandai crap where it's just like a single color with like a freaking photo of the kit here just standing there. And as far as I know, there's not any like significant cameos in the background. Like, I know with a lot of these HGCE kits, like they'll kind of like sneak in like a little Nemo or a Hyzak or something in the background here. So I'm just going to look through here real closely and see if there's any interesting maybe hints at what we could be getting in the future potentially on the P Bandai web shop. Yeah, I'm not seeing much anything. So moving on to a little bit of Gundam-based news, we are getting a titanium finish version of the real grade High Nu Gundam at some unspecified point in the future. This was actually supposed to come out a few days ago on the 18th. Unfortunately, the release did have to be delayed, and we haven't been given an official, proper new date for when this is going to be actually coming out. It is a very cool looking model regardless. I've talked before about how much I love the real grade High Nu Gundam. It is really a really awesome kit, and my favorite kit of 2021. And the titanium finish really only makes it look even better. The gold parts on the joints especially look amazing. Now, this is 9,900 yen, which is a lot, but considering that this kit, due to its high demand right now and the fact that Bandai is having a little bit of trouble meeting that demand, generally goes for a fair bit on the aftermarket right now, paying 9,900 yen for a titanium finish version of this kit might not be a bad deal depending on where in the world you are. If you can't get your hands on the regular release, this might be your best alternative. Alright, so getting into the bigger news today, we have a trio of kits to coincide with the 1:1 scale Nu Gundam statue. Now that I think back to it, I don't know if I've ever actually mentioned this in a Gunpla News video, although I'm sure I've mentioned on this channel before in community posts or some other format like that. Bandai has really been going wild lately with 1:1 Gundam statues. In the span of just like, what, 2-3 years, we've gone from having one Gundam statue, and then not long after that, we got a walking version of the RX-78 that was a totally different RX-78 than the first one. And then right after that, we got a 1:1 scale statue of the Freedom Gundam in China, and then right after that, we got a 1:1 scale Nu Gundam in a different part of Japan. And that's not even counting the 1:1 statue they did for that other mecha anime, what is it, Boundary Break, something like that? The one with like the Ken Okiyama designs for the mecha. Bandai is absolutely going ham with the 1:1 statues right now, and it's kind of insane. And just like with all the other Gundam statues, we are getting some pretty cool merch to coincide with the Nu Gundam statue. Firstly, we got the real grade here right in front of us, which is mostly the exact same as the existing real grade Nu Gundam mold. They just changed up the colors, and there is a very obvious change made to the backpack. So when it comes to the 1:1 scale Nu Gundam, they did have to make a pretty drastic redesign to the Gundam, and that was in the form of changing the fin funnel array from the original Nu Gundam into a single long-range fin funnel. Now, this is a completely new design they made up for the statue, and it pretty much entirely stems from practicality. While the fin funnels of the Nu Gundam are an absolutely iconic part of the design, they don't exactly translate well into the real world where we have real-world physics. I wasn't 100% sold on the long-range fin funnel at first, but once I saw it in action in that animated trailer they released, and once I saw some more images of the actual statue itself, it has actually started to grow on me now. It's a pretty cool design, and the real grade does a really good job of capturing its likeness, considering that they didn't actually change that much about it. Most of the tooling on the real grade seems to be unchanged, with just some color variances and a few tweaked areas here and there like the arms. Of course, they did add some very cool multicolored decals as well for the Armoro symbol on the shoulder as well as on the calf. While these are probably just going to be regular peel and play stickers, they do have some sort of iridescent effect on them, so they are going to look pretty cool. They're also doing a similar thing with the entry grade. I don't know if the entry grade looks quite as good as the real grade, just because it does lack that detail that the 1:1 statue has. I know that I've talked in the past about how I don't like the more detailed takes on the Nu Gundam, but if you're you're making merch specifically for the statue, I think it should kind of look like the statue. The long-range fin funnel is very nice for the entry grade though, and has a pretty impressive amount of color separation for something that could have just been a throwaway accessory. Finally, we have the SD BB Senshi model, which appears to me to be a brand new mold. I don't remember the BB Senshi New Gundam having this level of detail on it, and if it did, well, I might have to go back and pick one up, because this actually looks really, really cool. It's a pretty cool looking little SD kit, and funnily enough, it is actually a little bit more expensive than the entry grade at 1600 yen versus the entry grade's 1400 yen. Personally, if I was to get any of these myself, it would probably be the SD Gundam and maybe the real grade. I don't know, I think I'd have to see more in-hand images of them first. Alright, so finally we've come to the main event of this video. This is that first kit that was announced that I really wanted to talk about, but I held off on for a few days just so I could make like a real full proper episode of Gunpla News, and this is the Lord Astray. And I love this design. I'm a huge fan of the Astrays. I love the red frame, the blue frame, the gold frame, all the main ones. But one of my favorites of the more sort of obscure Astray variants is the Lord Astray, ever since I saw it in SD Gundam Cross Rays. If you have the deluxe edition of the game, or actually I think it might have been like a free DLC update or something, they basically give you this suit right at the start of the game, and it is just a little bit OP. It had awesome weapons, really cool attacks, and a great design, so as soon as I saw a high grade of this was released, I knew I had to get one. Now this is using the, what was it, Lord Astray Double Rebake, I think they called it, from Build Divers Re-Rise mold, so this mold has been around for a few years. This was something you could have kind of seen coming from a ways away, but it was still really nice to see Bandai officially confirm it. Now design-wise, I think this kit looks really good for a high grade. It's not actually using much of anything from the original Astray design. The Lord Astray, as far as I can tell, is pretty much its own thing, unless it's maybe using tooling from the Testament. If that's the case, maybe we could see a high grade Testament Gundam made from this mold in the future, or maybe a Master Grade Lord Astray made from the Master Grade Testament mold. I really don't know. And even if there is no shared tooling between them, well, Bandai, make a Master Grade Lord Astray anyways. This design is just too cool not to have in both scales. Now obviously the biggest draw of the Lord Astray is its giant Buster Sword. It's not quite the same as the one you get with the blue frame, it is a little bit simpler, but still has a pretty cool gimmick of its own. Not only is it a massive sword on its own that the Astray seems to be able to wield without too many issues, but the middle section of that giant sword can actually be extracted and turned into a chain whip. Going off these images, it does seem like there is going to be some level of flexibility to this weapon, although we'll have to wait and see for the final release to see how posable it actually ends up being. Once you take apart the sword to get the centerpiece out, you do have the option to use the two blades separately as well. I don't know if this would be my preferred way to display a Lord Astray, but it's still really nice to have options. This kit officially sells for 2,600 yen. It's coming out in April of this year, and I cannot wait for the US pre-orders. This kit's already gone up in Japan and a few other places in Asia, but as soon as this goes up in the USP Bandai shop, I'm literally pre-ordering it day one. And like I said earlier, I would love to see a Master Grade of this design as well as really honestly, I want to see everything from Astray. And actually, how have we gone this long? Because mind you, the Master Grade Astray mold is over 10 years at this point. How have we gone this long without a Master Grade gold frame Amatsu Mina? Seriously, it's one of the three main staple Astrays from the Astray manga, and we don't have a Master Grade of it. And it's been like 10 years. How? Bandai, why do you just leave money on the table like that? Do you realize how many people would buy a Master Grade gold frame Amatsu Mina? That is like one of the coolest Astray variants. I don't know what's up with Bandai sometimes. You know what? What's your favorite Astray variant? What do you want to see them make a kit of? It could be weird, it could be obscure, it could be some weird Build Fighters thing. I want to hear what your guys' favorite Astrays are. Put them down in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you're new for more Gundam and Gunpla content, and as always, I'm your host Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.